In this video, I'm talking about the normal, everyday things that I cut from my budget to save thousands. And I'm not talking about things that are on my no-buy list or things that would be nice to have if I had a bigger budget. These are really things that I just realized were not serving me, and I don't miss them at all. So number one is fancy coffee beans and expensive coffee equipment. So I used to have, I wouldn't say I have highbrow taste in coffee, but I did used to have a Nespresso machine, and I would spend like probably close to $100 every month on Nespresso pods, which I have not done in years. But even now, I have a simple French press, and I buy Lavazza ground coffee from my grocery store, which costs about $6 every 2 weeks, and that works perfectly fine for me. I love having morning coffee, like I will never give that up, but I don't feel the same draw towards like third wave coffee or more artisanal coffee beans. I know that some people really love that and they find a way to work it into their budget, but for me, I don't know. I just find that a French press with basic Lavazza coffee is totally fine for me. I'm not the biggest fan of the more acidic third wave coffee beans anyways, so I don't know, like this classic and affordable Italian ground coffee is totally fine. And I also don't really buy into the narrative of needing like a fancy espresso machine at home either. I see a lot of people on YouTube especially talk about purchases that were worth it, and they list out like a $500-$600 coffee machine, and they justify it by saying that they don't go to a cafe because they can make their coffee at home, which is fine, I guess, if you are somebody that likes to have like a latte every day. But I also save money by not going to cafes, and my French press cost $40 and my coffee beans cost $6. So I don't know. I guess it depends on what you, yeah. And no judgment if you're somebody that prefers fancier coffee. I'm just saying, for me, like a French press and cheap ground coffee is completely fine. So the second thing that I cut from my budget is basically what would be categorized as pink tax products. So products that are marketed towards women that are generally expenses that men don't have. So for starters, I don't buy disposable period products. I use a Diva cup and reusable period underwear, and I've been doing that for almost 10 years, I would say. I never have to buy disposable period products, and that saves a ton of money. It's also a lot better for the environment and just easier to manage overall. I also never buy women's razors. I don't know why women's razors are so much more expensive than men's razors. I actually remember when I got my first editorial job and I was working as a men's lifestyle editor, I received so many free samples of razors that I think it was probably like my entire time working there and probably like 2 or 3 years after that I didn't have to buy razors because I just had so many free razors sent to me. And that's kind of when I realized that men's razors actually work better than women's razors because they have more blades, like they're designed for your face. So I think they're just made better, and they're less expensive generally. So I never buy women's razors. I always opt for men's razors, and it's just a better experience. And then in the same realm of pink tax products, I also very sparsely spend on makeup. I mean, you can probably see if you've watched any of my videos, I very rarely wear makeup. I buy mascara from time to time, and I have, as we know, if you've watched other videos, a ton of lip gloss. I went through a weird lip gloss phase, but other than that, I like don't spend on anything. Like, I don't even know the names of most of these products. I just don't, for me personally, feel they're necessary. And from what I understand, makeup products really add up. So I'm kind of grateful that I never really got into the habit of, being a Sephora VIB girly. The next one that I don't spend on is kitchen equipment. So if you've watched my other videos, you've probably seen me like rolling out dough with a pasta jar instead of a rolling pin, or like mixing my bread in just a large snack bowl instead of a mixing bowl. I don't really see the point in investing in single-use kitchen products or even multi-use products that are expensive. I'd rather find workarounds at home, like in my existing kitchen, even if they don't work as well. It makes my kitchen less cluttered, and I also feel like there's nothing that I make frequently enough to merit having its own item. So that looks like not having a stand mixer, not having basic things like tongs when I can just use a fork or whatever. And there's nothing really that I feel is missing from my kitchen. The next one is an Amazon Prime subscription. So when I came back to Canada from Istanbul, I will admit I had a Prime subscription for a couple of months, and I bought a handful of home items and some little luxuries that I didn't have in Istanbul. And then a couple of months later, I realized that it's a very slippery slope, and I deleted my membership. And sometimes, I admit, I will still order the occasional product from Amazon, and without the Prime membership, it just takes a couple extra days to arrive. And I also feel like not having the membership, it just takes the temptation away from adding things to cart and then purchasing them and having them like the same day or the next day. I feel like not having that, it makes me think more about the products that I'm considering, and sometimes even going out and like buying them in person if it's something that I need right away. But removing that temptation, I think, has probably saved me quite a bit of money on impulse purchases. So the next one is that I don't own a car, and I don't even own a bike, which is kind of weird in Montreal. I find it really wild when I see people talk about the cost of transportation when they own a vehicle, especially living in the city. I don't think that I miss it. I've lived with people before who have had cars. I've been a part of car households, and it is convenient, if you want to go visit friends that live further away, or take a road trip, or even go to a grocery store like across the city for better prices. But the cost of owning a car, especially in the city, is just completely bananas to me. I watch a lot of budget videos here on YouTube, and some of the girls that I follow own cars, and just seeing their expenses add up just for having a car, it's like I can't even fathom. It's like between the gas money, the insurance, the car payment itself, and parking, it's like it adds up to be like kind of half my rent payment, and I just can't imagine having to pay that every month to use a car on occasion when I have the metro at my doorstep. And then, like I said, I also don't own a bike. I think bike culture in Montreal is pretty big. It's probably the biggest or one of the biggest cities in North America for biking culture. Everyone bikes. Biking is so popular. There are Big C bike rentals everywhere. I don't even do that though. Biking in the city kind of stresses me out, to be honest with you. So that's one factor. And then the other is that I can just walk. Like if I want to get from point A to point B and have it be a workout, I would prefer to walk. And if I'm trying to get somewhere quickly and avoiding traffic, I can just take the metro. So I don't have to worry about storing a bike. I don't have to worry about paying for a bike or bike maintenance or whatever. Walking and taking the metro is perfectly adequate for me. And next on the list is trendy clothing. So I never buy anything that I feel would only last me a season or a couple of years. When I'm considering adding something to my wardrobe, I think if I would have been able to wear it 10 years ago, and if I will be able to wear it in 10 years from now. So I look for things that are kind of timeless, which maybe might seem a little bit boring, but I just prefer it. I would rather have it be something that's classic that I know I can wear until, it has holes in it, than something that will look like it's dated, or something from a fast fashion brand that will only last a season and then have to be thrown out. I just like to avoid that as much as possible. But then on the other hand, I also like to avoid high maintenance clothing. So there are some items in my wardrobe that I have. Like I bought this, it's like a wool or a cashmere sweater I bought in Paris a couple of years ago, and I absolutely love it. It's really nice. It's so soft, and I feel like it's a really classic fit. But because it's made of wool and cashmere that's not washable, I have to have it dry cleaned every time I need to clean it. And dry cleaning is pretty expensive, honestly. Like, I feel like every time I go, it's like between $10 to $15 to wash this shirt, which is kind of a lot. So I don't wear it as much as I would wear something that I can just wash by myself. And I feel like that was a good lesson. Like, I do prefer natural material over synthetic stuff, but I like finding items that can at least be hand washed, you know? Like, I don't mind hand washing things, but if it requires a trip to the dry cleaner, it's just a little bit too much of an investment for me, at least at this time. And another one in the clothing sphere is shoes. I like shoes. I'm not like a shoe girl. I have a few pairs of flats, like a couple pairs of loafers, and one pair of gym shoes, but I never buy shoes just for the sake of having a new pair of shoes. My philosophy with shoes, even when I was in my more spendy era, is that I have a pair of shoes and I wear them until I can't wear them anymore. So I'll wear them until there's holes in the bottom or until the lining wears out and can't be repaired. My gym shoes, I've mentioned this before, but my gym shoes I've had since I was in my undergraduate degree, and I'm 33 now, so you can do the math there. They don't look new, they're not aesthetically pleasing, but they still work. So yeah, I don't buy shoes until the pair that I have completely gets destroyed and I absolutely need to buy a new pair. Another everyday thing that I don't spend on is grocery deliveries. I know that people like to say that grocery deliveries are great because you don't have the temptation in the grocery store. You place your order online and then it is brought straight to your door. For me, I weirdly like going to the grocery store. I like seeing the prices of everything, being completely aware of sale prices or comparing between different stores. And I like the activity of going into the market and seeing what's available and buying what I need. And there are places where it's not that much more expensive to have your groceries delivered. But for me, I just feel like, I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. A lot of the delivery services here in Montreal are either inflated because there's delivery, or they're more like organic and artisanal places. Like for example, Loofah Farms. If you've ever lived in Montreal or know anyone who lives here, you might have heard of this company. They're pretty cool. They have like rooftop gardens in Montreal, right in the city, and so they grow a lot of their own produce. They also stock a lot of artisanal and local brands, and I used to be a loofavore. I used to order from them every week, but the temptation of just adding like little treats and artisanal products, it was too high for me, and my groceries always ended up being very expensive. So I prefer to just go to discount stores and get my own groceries than having any kind of delivery service. And then kind of on the same vein, I've talked about this before, but I don't go to restaurants and I don't get takeout like ever, not even as a treat, which is very strange because I used to be a huge food person. I loved restaurant culture. I loved dining out with friends. I loved trying new foods. Now it just doesn't fill me with the same sense of joy. I'm not sure why. I'm not really sure what changed. Maybe it was my frugal living ethos, or I don't even know what, but I just prefer to make my food at home. The one caveat to that is I will sometimes go out and meet a friend for a coffee. So like one single coffee, a $5 purchase at a cafe. Probably about once a month I do that, but that's more for the social aspect than necessarily like the coffee that I'm drinking. But yeah, other than that, I don't order takeout. I don't go out to restaurants. I might again in the future, who knows? But for now, it's like, I don't feel like it's missing from my life, which I don't know what that means about me. But anyway, it's a huge money saver for sure. And the last one is seasonal decor products. So when I say seasonal decor products, I mean decorating for holidays, but also decorating or like switching decor out between seasons. So I used to be a huge decor lover. Honestly, I still am. I like making my space look nice, but I use what I have now instead of going out and trying to find, like different little tchotchkes to add flair to my space. I don't know. I feel like I used to really love going to places like HomeSense, or in Canada, we also have Winners, where you can find like little curated items for less expensive than bigger name brands. But I found that, I don't know, I just prefer having my weird little collection of like travel souvenirs and kind of things from my childhood or even things from university. Like, I would prefer to just keep the things that I have that I really love than always going out and trying to find new or trendy decor items. I used to be really big into decorating for Christmas too, but when I became a minimalist, I donated my Christmas tree and pretty much all of my Christmas ornaments. And sometimes I feel sad that I did that, but mostly it's fine. Like, I feel like I don't need to decorate for Christmas when I live in a tiny studio and usually travel for the holidays to see my family anyways. So yeah, I don't buy that stuff anymore. But yeah, so those are the normal everyday things that I cut from my budget and don't miss at all. This is not set in stone. I reserve the right to change my mind as my life changes and shifts through the seasons. But for now, these are things that I'm not missing at all. And also, I'm not judging you if you like any of the things on the list. These are just what's working for me. Everyone's priorities are different, so I just wanted to add that. But yeah, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.